Om. 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 Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sai Ram, everyone. With Swami's grace, I hope all of you are doing wonderfully well. And as always, every Sunday, we are blessed to hear his gems come and talk to us. And we have someone who's not new to the series. He has spoken. And all I can say as an introduction is someone who, the moment hears there is an opportunity to serve, he is there taking on the opportunity, not waiting for a tomorrow for it to materialize, but to work now, because everything that comes his way is seen as a blessing of Swami. And this is something, before I introduce the speaker, let me introduce a topic for today. Service the way we do for our master, following his message. And in the Sai Satcharitra, it says in chapter 39, Seva is not rendering service with the feeling that one is free to offer or refuse service. One must feel that he is not the master of the body, that the body is the guru's and exists merely to render service to him. And these lines epitomizes Brother Amar Vivek, who is our speaker today, whose story in part 1 spoke of that wonderful journey where in the train coming back from Prashanti Nilayam, blessed by Swami, he starts talking about a project to a group of people, gets the land, runs into hiccups, which is not an uncommon way of Swami testing you, but the firm conviction that when something is blessed by Swami to happen, it will happen, because that's the very reason why we are in existence, with Swami Sankalpa taking our actions into fruitfulness. He went all the way, met Shivraj Patel sir, got his approval, got the land. Today, for the last 31 years, in the state of Chandigarh, in the state of Haryana, he's been having a school, free medical facilities, and that just keeps on increasing. And we heard about the COVID support hospital that came about recently to help people recover. So here is one human being who epitomizes that our mere existence is to be in service, following the message of Swami. And we are very, very honored and blessed to have him here for a part 2, which is going to focus exclusively on Seva, the Swami way. Sai Ram, over to you, Brother Amar.
Om Sri Sai Ram. My most revered and prayerful salutations at the lotus feet of our most beloved Divine Mother, Bhagwan Baba. Bhagwan Baba is so graciously giving us this opportunity, not merely to work under his umbrella, but also this is a sort of guarantee by him that when we take the first step, rest thousands and thousands of steps are taken by him. And it is he who thereafter crowns us with the success. That's really majestic of Bhagwan. And I can only talk of his majesty. Because if we see the history of avatars, this is how avatar have been depicting one after the other miracles, we call them, or the incidents of love manifesting, which we call them. Whether it was Lord Krishna who was lifting Govardhana for the sake of his fellow beings, or Lord Rama building that beautiful Setu, just to demonstrate that it was the divine power, but then he conferred the boon of Seva, and this is how things manifested. So that is why when in Vedas they say that darshanam papnashanam, saparshanam mohanashanam, sambhashanam jivan mukti. Bhagwan Baba has given another Veda, Sangathanam, that is Sri Sathya Sai Seva Sangathan, and which is Sakshatkar with God. While I am talking to all of you, let me be very candid enough to say that whatever I have been through, that's not a human effort. So to mistake it that I have undertaken it, well, that mistake is not at all worth committing. So I'll narrate a few of the things, and please pardon me if some of those things are repetition. You see, somewhere in 1996, we thought of establishing a school. One of the biggest challenges was to get recognition for the school from the government. When we went there, we found that our file for affiliation, it was having series of objections. We did not understand why so many objections were being raised. We repeatedly tried to remove the objections. Like, we had built the classroom. It was a hall classroom, very big classroom, but it was meant for 27 or 30 students at the most. And we thought that it's a very big classroom, but the authorities giving permission, they rejected by saying your classroom is too small, because they had a standard size of 60. So they would say, no, you build for 60, whether you are putting 30 or 27 is not our concern. So you give us a model for 60. So like that, there were frivolous objections. And we did not realize why those objections were there. And ultimately, we figured out that actually it was more to it than it met the eye. People wanted something else. And we realized that in Bhagwan's mission, we will not be in a position to meet their demands. So while we were wondering, we were praying to Bhagwan that something should happen. 3 ladies, elderly ladies, they offered that leave this affiliation issue to us. So all those 3 ladies, they took it over. The office of the government where this permission was to be granted was located at a top floor having 77 stairs. So these ladies would make it a point that every day in the morning, one of them, she would go climb 77 stairs, reach that office, just sit in front of the gentleman who was to do the needful, and start offering prayers silently. Just keep sitting. Brother, I have come for my file, Sai Gramin School's approval file. And the man would give a sinister look, and the Amma would start praying, sitting there whole day. And at 5 in the evening, she would come back. Second day, third day, fourth day, when this lady, who happens to be my mother, she went there. Unfortunately, in these stairs, she fainted and fell down. So as she tumbled down, people ran towards her in the corridor. People picked her up. And there was a big commotion there. And everybody started wondering that why these ladies are coming every day. And suddenly it was figured out that they had come for the affiliation of the Sai Jagriti file, the Sai Jagriti school. So immediately everybody ran in place and they told the gentleman that you are going to be blamed for all this. Please clear this file today. And that day itself the file was cleared without paying any penny. But penance, through penance it was cleared. So what I say is that when we have belief, when we have the complete faith and surrender that he is the one who's going to do it, nothing can stop it. Nothing whatsoever can stop it. I remember long story, a story long back when I was a Sevadal youth, somewhere in 1981. We came across a patient, a young laborer, who lost both her legs in an unfortunate train accident. And she was lying admitted without lower limbs. Her husband had forsaken her. So the doctors told us that why don't you arrange a wheelchair for her? She will probably rediscover her movement. So at that time, with whatever resources we had, we pooled together and found out that the wheelchair would probably cost us 1,700 rupees. We started working. Probably 15 or 1,600 rupees we arranged. So we went to that manufacturer, looked for the chair. We liked a chair probably that was costing little higher, maybe 100 or 150 rupees more. So we told the gentleman that, sir, there is a poor laborer whom we want to donate this chair. And the man says, oh, I will give you free. Please take it from my side. And with the money which you have, you can buy either a sewing machine or something. Give it to that lady. She'll feel very happy. See, God is always there to give us. He is ready, sitting right across. Only thing is, we do not see. And that is the mistake. You know, the other day, we shared this, that when we refuse to see that he is right next to us, that is the time we commit this mistake. This is one part. The second part is that the daily, I would say, burden of doing something or the other as a human being, it puts a lot of load in our mind, how it will happen, whether it will succeed or not. Should I undertake it or not? That doubt also destroys the fiber of underlying beauty of any seva activity. At that time, we forget that actually I am not the doer, he is the doer. We have to just keep our gauge fixed on Bhagwan only when we undertake any task. I still remember that in the school we were building a very beautiful playground, basketball ground. And we thought that we'll build the best one. And even if it costs enormous amount for the village school people, we will give them the best of the facility. And while this basketball ground was ready, somehow I was sitting in my office and I got a picture from the site. And as I downloaded the picture in my office, two gentlemen were sitting right in front of me. And they inquired from me that, sir, how much, what is this? So I explained to them that we have a village school and where we have constructed this basketball court. And this is a free school. So they said, sir, how much will it cost? I said, it has costed us about, let's say, 11 lakhs or something. Immediately, the gentleman issued a check for that 11 lakhs to us. So, you see, no doubt we relate everything with money. But suppose we don't relate it with money, we relate it with God. Because money is something which hinders us. God is something who will always propel us, who will always encourage us, who will always make sure that things happen. So therefore, let us have our eye fixed on God. I still remember very simple way Bhagwan used to tell us things. Once we were walking in Kodaikanal, right, along with Swami, and we were telling Bhagwan, please give us a message. So, in our youthful way, we were following Bhagwan and telling him, Bhagwan, please give us the message. And as Bhagwan was crossing a dustbin, Bhagwan asked, look at this dustbin. See, this is the message. And when we looked at the dustbin, we saw message, use me. Use me? So we thought that use me is the message. Bhagwan said, you see me. Why don't you see me? You see me. That is the only thing which is required. So our duty is to look at him. That's all. We know the famous anecdote from Arjuna's life that once Arjuna and Lord Krishna, they were going, walking by the side of the sea, and an old monkey, sick monkey, was sleeping there. And Arjuna was telling Lord Krishna that I don't know why Lord Rama got built Setu from Vanaras with the help of boulders and stones and rocks. Why couldn't he build the Setu with his bow and arrows? And that old sick monkey who was half asleep suddenly replied, he said, such a bridge would have collapsed under the weight of the monkeys. It probably hurt Arjuna's ego. And Arjuna said, how could it be? I can build one Setu right now. So the Vanara and Arjuna immediately engaged in a duel. So Arjuna said, I will build a Setu with the help of my arrows. And the monkey said, I'll walk on it. If it sustains my weight, I will concede what you say. Arjuna said, if the Setu breaks, I will right now enter into fire. And Arjuna built this Setu. This monkey tried to walk, and immediately the Setu broke. So Arjuna was taken aback. Once again, he said, I'll try once again. Again, he built another Setu with the help of his arrows. And as the monkey walked only 4 or 5 paces, the Setu broke again. So Arjuna decided that he had lost and he would enter fire. But then Krishna intervened and said, Arjuna, don't you think that once again you should worship Lord and give another attempt? So Arjuna probably realized at that time that what was his mistake. He prayed to Krishna, invoked his blessings, and then built the Setu. Now this monkey tried once again, but the Setu would not break. He expanded his size and assumed Virata Swarupa, became Anjaneya Hanuman. He tried all things, the Setu would not break. And Arjuna was wondering why the Setu is not breaking. At that time, he realized his mistake. It is the Bhagwan, it is the God's will which sustains everything. And similarly, Hanuman also realized at the same time that when God wills and he channels it through human beings, it is not human being who is doing the effort, it is the God who is doing the effort. So similarly, when we undertake any seva activity, the very purpose, the reason why Bhagwan has given us Seva Sangathan, Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization, is for this reason. He has given his name, that we realize, and the faster and the sooner we will, the better it will be, that any seva undertaken under Sri Sathya Sai's umbrella is Sri Sathya Sai himself undertaking that seva. If we have this belief, then we need not to think about success or failure. Then we need not to encounter doubts. This is the beauty of Bhagwan's work. I would recall an incident. Once, those were the times when Bhagwan would walk into our classrooms. So in our management first batch MBA, once Bhagwan walked in. And that day, we were about to study a topic named ZBB. ZBB means zero-based budgeting. So Bhagwan walked in and he said, I will teach you today. So we were very happy. And Bhagwan said, I am going to teach you ZBB. And ZBB means zero-based bhakti. So we were very excited that what is zero-based bhakti. So then Bhagwan went on to elaborate. He said, zero-based budgeting, as you have understood, is that you have 10 rupees. In the normal budgeting, you get up early in the morning and you say, liability is 100, I only have 10. How do I spend 10? I am confused. But zero-based budgeting is, I say I have 10, I am mindful only of 10. How I spend rupees 10 is important. So you plan according to resource. Now what is zero-based bhakti, he said. He said, every morning I get up and I say, oh, yesterday I did this. Yesterday he did this to me. So and so did this. And I start with that thought process, carrying the baggage of yesterday. Therefore, I am not able to perform anything today. He says, if you get up every morning with the belief, with the thought that I am born today, I don't know what was yesterday. I never existed in this world yesterday. Today is the day. I offer myself at his feet today. I will undertake all his work today, as if I am going to live only today. I never lived earlier. With that surrender in me, in my feet, you undertake any activity. And I assure you, Bhagwan said, that such an activity is going to meet success. Because you will leave everything on me. You see, such truths from Vedas, which Bhagwan extracted and simply presented to us in a lucid manner, in an illustrious manner, through such small anecdotes, they are the strength for us. They are the source of belief in us that once Bhagwan undertakes a task, that task is going to meet the same status which Bhagwan wants us to believe, the way Bhagwan would have undertaken himself. So we all know when Bhagwan used to say, my life is my message. And Bhagwan had said that time is not far when your life would be my message. And when I look at it, I feel that if not now, when that time would come, when we say Bhagwan, our lives, they should reflect your message. Why are we still crawling like small little beings, not able to see the bliss, the glory, the larger grandeur of God? Why are we not able to fathom that it is His energy, His current flowing all through? He has promised to us that I am like an electric wire. You cut from any place, put a holder and bulb, and light would be there. I still remember an incident when a student, a young one, had written a letter to Bhagwan, and in that he had put a quote from Sri Rabindranath Tagore: "Who will take up my duties when I am not there? Ask the setting sun. I will do whatever I can, my master," replied the earthen lamp. So, the purpose of earthen lamp is also to give light, and to the best of its might. Now it is up to us. Are we prepared to believe that God, that Sai, He will resonate through us? His light will resonate through us. His magnificence is going to take over the moment we say Sai Ram, surrender ourselves at His feet, and then make sure that we undertake the activity with the belief that He is doing it. So, whatever little I have seen, whatever little I have been feeling, it is this divine grace, it is this divine canvas, and nothing else. I can go on narrating so many incidents because they are the pointers. I remember that once the doctor called us and told us that we need an ambulance because in the night in the hospital patients would come. Some of them would be serious or trauma patients, and they required urgent removing them, transportation to hospitals nearby, because we did not have trauma and emergency facilities or blood or oxygen in our daycare hospital. So we prayed, all of us collectively prayed that Bhagwan, we need an ambulance. So this place is about 2 hours by road from Chandigarh. And as I came back, I got a phone call. A gentleman called me and said, "Sir, I want to donate an ambulance to your hospital." Now, I do not know how in 2 hours' time the news traveled, but I know only one thing, that prayers can achieve anything. Surrender can make sure that the task is complete. Belief can make sure that it is Bhagwan's task. So, all we need to do is to have prayers on our lips, have belief in our heart, and with surrender when we move. Nothing else is required. So let us, as Sai Sadhak, I would say, set a new trend. And for this purpose, I would say this is the time. Because when we are tested, either due to COVID or due to any other disease or any other ailment that ails the society. Only this belief in us can take us across. Who does not know the incident when Bhagwan was setting up super specialty hospital, and in Kodaikanal, Bhagwan had taken Colonel Jogarao with him, and Colonel Jogarao was early morning very restless, going here and there and not able to realize what was happening, because Bhagwan had announced that 10 months from now, super specialty hospital will be inaugurated. And when later in the breakfast, Bhagwan asked Colonel Jogarao why he was so upset in the morning. So Colonel Jogarao virtually told Bhagwan, he said, Bhagwan, I really do not know how this is going to happen. And at that time, Bhagwan introduced to him the gentleman from America who had sold his chain of hotels for the sake of Bhagwan's mission. You see, when we use the word Seva, this is a complete word of assurance, because the synonym of Seva in Hindi, the closest synonym is Nyochhavar, which automatically means surrender. And this is the belief. Any activity which we undertake, because Bhagwan has said, I still remember those words, the Sai Jagriti land that had been gifted to us on Guru Purnima day. And when Bhagwan showed me the date on the resolution of Panchayat, gifting the land, this is what Bhagwan pointed out to me and said, it was Guru Purnima day. Do you know the significance of Guru Purnima? Guru Purnima means God takes a vow that so long as the solemn wish of my devotee to undertake a seva or sadhana is not achieved, sun is not going to set. And I can tell you, this is not a small assurance. It is a very, very majestic, very, very beautiful, very, very deep, very, very significant assurance. And not only me, thousands of us, we have experienced it. I do remember when we wanted to start this COVID hospital in Chandigarh, there was lockdown, there was curfew. And when we undertook the task, the only thing that was in front of my eyes was permission of the government having been granted in the name of Sri Sathya Sai Gramin Jagriti. So I was telling everybody, I said, see, permission has come in the name of Bhagwan. That is the source of our inspiration. Once permission has come in the name of Bhagwan, this is going to succeed. Let us believe this. And when we started drawing the list of something like 143 items which were to be arranged and provided in the hospital, be it cylinders, be it oxygen, be it beds, mattresses, bed sheets, smallest of the items or the most complex of the items, medicines, doctors, nurses, staff, air conditioners, I don't know. I mean, the list was endless when we started drawing the list, when we started consulting the people, and how that will be happening. That also in very short duration. because we were running against the time. I know we contacted people during lockdown. We got opened their shops and establishments to get all these items. No doubt, everything came at some cost. But then the belief that he is doing it made us get going. And as I look back, I could not believe that the setting was so beautiful. It was absolutely reflective of Bhagwan's work, because Bhagwan had undertaken. I am too humbled to say all this, because when I repeatedly use word I, it somehow strikes me at my heart, because Bhagwan told that you are nothing but like a fly sitting on the steering wheel of a car and imagining that you are driving the car, when driver is none other than God himself. But as fly sitting on the steering wheel, when we see the God driving the vehicle, that sight, that beauty, that contemplation in itself is the source for energy. So our Sevadal people who undertake such activities right under Bhagwan's banner of Sri Sathya Sai organization, they every time recount countless stories how grace of Bhagwan is taking over, how things are happening. I'll narrate one or two incidents to you. The challenge is, you see, we were told by Bhagwan that don't invite any politician in Sai Jagriti. Once we fell into a trap. The villagers persuaded us that there was a particular chief minister. Why don't you invite him at the annual day celebration of Bhagwan's birthday? So 23rd November, we invited the said chief minister. He came, he went around, and in Hindi he says, "Aapne to jungle mein mangal kar rakha hai." I'm seeing such a beautiful manifestation in this forest area. What a wonderful school, what a wonderful hospital. And then somewhere sarcastically he remarked, "Kuch to swarth raha hoga aapka." There must be some selfish motive behind of all of you in doing all this. And then he went on to deliver a speech on the stage and announced in good old days that he will gift us 6 lakh rupees from CM Relief Fund. So I very humbly requested him. I said, "Sir, this amount can be given to the panchayat of the village because they are doing numerous works." And this man, he announced, he says, "This organization is very rich. They don't need my money." Anyway, but we were in for a bigger trouble. Very next day, we received an official communication asking us to change the name of the trust from Sri Sathya Sai Gramin Jagriti to XYZ, his father's name, and to make him the chief patron of the trust. So we were taken aback. We knew there was something in store for us. We refused, of course. And after a few days, an order was passed by the government cancelling the gift. of that Panchayat land to Sai Jagriti. We had to go to High Court. We challenged that order. Eventually, that order was set aside by the High Court that you can't revoke the gift. But let me tell you, we committed the mistake. Bhagwan had said no politician. So it was Bhagwan's way of teaching us. You violate my message, and then you will see how you are punished. So he is not merely a watchman, he is a catchman too. I remember long back, I had gone to Vrindavan after I had passed out from here, from Bhagwan's Institute. I had gone back. I was sitting at Bhagwan's feet in Vrindavan. So Bhagwan asked me, ये बाहर में तुम चला गया है, तू अच्छा है वहां पे? You are behaving like my student. So then I said, Bhagwan, you are my watchman. You see every day. You guide me. And Bhagwan said with this mischievous smile, I am not merely a watchman, sir. I am catchman also. I catch you doing wrong. So when we have Bhagwan correcting us in his loving way, we can never go wrong. And let me tell you, when we do some seva with the belief that we are doing it for Bhagwan, Bhagwan is doing it himself. That's a very beautiful feeling. And with that feeling, we keep going. I still remember the first ever occasion when I made a blood donation. That was 30th July 1981. I was barely an adolescent at that time. And my mother, she admonished me. She said, why you should compromise with your health? And today, when I recently finished 155th donation and came back home, my mother would again say the same thing, what she has been telling me all these years. She would say, please do it with your other faculties, not by donating blood. It may affect your health. That is mother's love. But Divine Mother says, your blood, your breath, your body, it all belongs to me. Dedicate everything which you have towards God. And once we dedicate everything to God, He will fill it with limitless energy. That limitless energy which God has given us is only for a limited aspect of doing selfless seva. If we do this selfless seva diligently and on the principles of Bhagwan, then we can see Him manifesting everywhere. So probably when Brother Venkat told me for today's topic, I thought that this topic was going to be a dialogue and not a monologue. And that is why I thought that if while interacting with all of you, I can try to know from you all that how Bhagwan has been guiding all of us, or if I could feel fortunate enough to answer any of your questions by invoking his prayers, I'll feel very good, because all of you indeed are on Bhagwan's path, and he alone is doing everything in our lives. So I would wait for any of your questions, which will give me a better insight. While we so do.
Yeah, so you can either type it or you can unmute yourself. You have the rights to unmute, and you could ask so that we can focus. The idea is also today's topic is to inspire us to get into action. It's always lovely to read, but there's a lot of difference when we practice, because we have to really go inside and search for answers, and you would have found that all these answers have already been given by him many a times. So if you have anything that you would like to ask so that we can make this more interactive, as Brother Amar has said, will be nice. Type is an option, or please unmute and ask.
Well, meanwhile, I'll just try to sum it up by saying, when Bhagwan had told me in 1989 about this project, at that time, I had asked Bhagwan, I said, Bhagwan, we need doctors. Bhagwan told me, you go to Chandigarh, you will find them there. Now, I did not know that how would I find doctors in Chandigarh. But once I landed in Chandigarh, we discussed with some people. Then they told me that there is a young doctor couple. They have returned from Liverpool. We went to their house one evening. And when we narrated to them that we were going to set up a school, hospital, and a vocational school, both of them had tears in their eyes. This was the year 1989. And they narrated an incident to me that in 1986, they were in Liverpool. Bhagwan appeared in their dream, told them shift to Chandigarh. I will send you a rural project. Rest of your lives, you'll pass there. And while they told me this, it gave me an idea that Bhagwan had already been working on this project for several years. And when we got land, the gift of land and the possession, both of them shifted to the village. Since 1990, this husband and wife pair, team, I would say, they are staying in that village, in that jungle, where normally 4 to 5 days in a week there will be no power. And they are staying there and carrying out all Bhagwan's work. They have been blessed with a daughter who finished her higher medical education from Bhagwan's college in the year 2011 in ophthalmology. And after she had come back somewhere in June, so she was in a marriageable age, and all of us were talking amongst ourselves that let's look for a suitable match for her. Once this lady doctor, she virtually admonished me. She said, Vivek, you need not to search a match for her. Bhagwan must have already searched some match for her. So it was a caution to me again, not to be a human, but to believe in divine. And after a few days only, I got a phone call from them that they had arranged for her match, and God had sent, and they gave me some dates of marriage. From Yamuna Nagar in Haryana, they were to go to Jaipur and perform the marriage and all that. Now, 18th November 2011, the marriage was solemnized. 23rd November, we have the annual day in the village for our school. And when we returned after everything, 23rd November, early morning when we reached the village, I saw our president sitting in the compound where bhajan was about to be performed. And he had a letter and tears in his eyes. So out of my inquisitiveness, I asked him, I said, sir, what brings tears in your eyes? He passed on that letter to me. I'm sorry I'm sharing this, a very personal incident, but I know I am in Sai family. The gentleman doctor had written this letter to our president. He said, sir, in the year 1989, when we decided to shift to this village, at that time we had exhausted all our resources and we had started serving Bhagwan with the sole belief that Bhagwan alone will take care of us. So since then, we have been working day night in this hospital and this school. And our daughter, she got admission in Government Medical College, Bangalore, and ultimately she was taken to Super Speciality Hospital at Prashanthi Nilayam, and everything at your lotus feet. She got beautiful education. You took care of her. And now the time came for her marriage. When her match had been fixed, all of a sudden, one fine day, he's writing, my brother, who had never visited me in last 10, 15 years, he came to me and he handed over a bag of money to me. And I asked him, what is this? He said, our parents had left behind a will, as per which I was to hand you over this amount at the time of your daughter's marriage. So I have only come to perform my duty. Here is the execution of the last will of our parents. And the doctor gentleman is writing in that letter that when I looked at the bag, there was a substantial amount of money in that. So he said that marriage of our daughter was performed. We reached back 21st evening. On 22nd evening, we both of the husband and wife, we decided that why not to kind of do some accounting. And after doing the accounting, we found a sum of rupees 9 lakhs was surplus. We saved rupees 9 lakhs. So please find this amount of 9 lakhs, which you are donating back to Sai Gramin. And the president says, when I asked them that you should have given this amount to your daughter, this was meant for your daughter's marriage. Why are you giving it to Sai Gramin? This is for the purpose of your daughter's marriage. So the doctors told me that, sir, her marriage has been taken care of. She's been married off to a very good family. She's well settled. But Sai Jagriti is also our daughter. We need to take care of her also. When I heard this conversation, I can tell you that such surrender, such level of tyaga, even I cannot believe. Because perfect surrender, complete surrender, which we call, is something which Bhagwan alone gives, which Bhagwan alone gifts. And it is this which ensures the success of any seva. So all I can say is that when we dedicate ourselves completely at his feet, he will make sure that any task which we undertake, that becomes the task of divine himself. Sai Ram.
Absolutely, absolutely touching, extremely moving. Needs a lot of surrender to live a life like that. And I've heard you speak about how the entire hospital has evolved thanks to the doctor couple who have gone about not just being volunteering, but also spearheading the involvement of the village, finding who needs help, and rendering that and collectively ensuring that each of those village becomes a model village of service to be rendered the way Swami wants or Swami expects us to do. Absolutely touching to hear this anecdote at the end of total Sharnagati. As brother said, it will be nice for all of us to have like a study circle, if you want to put it, slightly different from normal. I'm sure Brother Amar can still talk about small examples here and there in between, but let us all try and reflect on what service means to each one of us, the way we've understood, and let's get some clarifications whether our understanding is in rational with how Swami has instructed in those little opportune moments that came by Brother Amar's interaction with Swami on the aspect of Seva, service through Sharnagati. Open to the audience. Yeah, could I seek anyone with questions? I'm going to get back to gallery mode and you can just unmute and ask or type if you are not keen to ask. I shall ask it on your behalf. Sairam, I'm waiting to hear if any one of you might have.
As I see some questions, I am reminded of an incident. I was fortunate to be there at Parthi when Sri Kasturiji was still there physically. 1986 we joined, and once Bhagwan always used to make fun of him. I mean, Bhagwan was like that. So he narrated this incident to us, that once Bhagwan, he went to a remote village to deliver a discourse, and Kasturiji was accompanying him. And when Bhagwan reached that place, Kasturiji is narrating, I saw huge crowd. And crowd was so intense, so thick, that every branch of the tree, every roof of the house, each one of them, I saw devotees waiting for Bhagwan's discourse. But what was disturbing Kasturiji the most was dark clouds hovering over the venue, threatening that there will be torrential rain and lightning and thunder. And Kasturiji was fearing that this rain is going to disrupt Bhagwan's discourse. And at that time, Bhagwan asked Kasturiji to come and speak. So as Kasturiji was speaking, he started narrating another incident. And on an earlier occasion, Bhagwan had gone and there was a crowd and Bhagwan had stopped the rain. And at that, Kasturiji stopped and took his seat. And when Bhagwan came to speak, he said, this Kasturi, who just now spoke, do you know why he narrated that incident, previous incident, when I stopped the rain? It's because he did not believe today also I will stop the rain. So out of fear only he narrated this incident, not out of faith. So, but he said, since you are all praying here, you are all gathered here, so your prayers have reached me, don't worry. Till this discourse is over, there will be no rain. And after 1.5 hours, when Bhagwan finished the discourse, Bhagwan told that all of you have good 20 minutes. Please get back to your places. The rain is not going to disrupt you. Only after you reach back your houses, the rain will come. And thereafter it rained a lot that evening. So what I am saying is that whether out of fear or out of faith, if we call God, I think the response will be the same. He is going to either answer the faith or he is going to allay the fear. Because when we call him, he'll take over.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sairam, brother,
Sairam.
can I ask a question?
Please, Sairam.
Did you encounter any non-believer of Swami as closest person with near you to tackle him or her while undertaking your venture?
Sairam. Well,
Did you get me? Did you get me,
yes,
sir?
yes. Non-believer is one word which is always confusing me. But yes, I'll narrate one or two incidents to you. You see, when I don't know whether I shared it earlier, when the file of our Sai Jagriti project, it had gone to a government officer, a very senior government officer for approval. He looked at me, 24 years old, without any credentials, looked at the file. He shouted at me at the top of his voice. And virtually abusingly, he turned me out of his office and said, "Get away, I'm not going to approve this project." "Have you looked in the mirror," he said, "at your face? You say you will execute this project. Sorry, rejected." So I had narrated on the previous occasion that I cried a lot that night. And that night, Bhagwan appeared in my dream, asked me to go to Delhi. Next morning, I went to Delhi. And then I suddenly realized whom to see in Delhi. And then I started making a mental list. First, I came across the name of Vice President of India, Shri Shankar Dayal Sharma. I said, no, I'll not go to him. Then I next thought of Mr. Shivraj Patil, the Speaker Lok Sabha at that time. I went outside his house, stood there, not knowing how to meet him. People would not allow me to meet him. I had no appointment. Suddenly a car came by and a gentleman got down. He asked me, "Sir, how have you come?" He was Mr. Shivraj Patil's son. And he took me inside, made me meet Mr. Shivraj Patil, and Mr. Shivraj Patil wrote a letter to the Chief Minister Haryana that this will be really a gift for Haryana if such a project comes up there. And with that letter, we came back to Chief Minister, handed over to him, and the Chief Minister finally approved the project. Now, the meeting was reconvened. So this gentleman and two more gentlemen, senior officers, they constituted a meeting. When I went back to that meeting, this gentleman was all the more furious. He was very angry that now along with him, two more gentlemen were sitting. So the decision making was going to be collective. And he started telling me so many things. You say that this will be happening. You say this will happen. You don't have 50 rupees in your pocket. And you say this project is worth 50 crores. And all those things he started telling me for 10 minutes. He continued to tell me all this. And all those 10 minutes, as he was virtually shouting, I was all the time saying, "Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram" inside. I was chanting continuous Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. After he had finished. Now, this is probably the answer which I would like to give.
Yeah, thank you, Sairam.
Yes. I said, "Sir, I have to tell you something. That every government official or the ministers or politicians, they go on the forum and say, educated youth do not give back anything to society. They pass out from the universities, get busy in their careers, and thereafter they forget the humanity. Here I am a law graduate, I am an MBA. I could have very well pursued my career, which I am going to pursue, of course. But I am here in front of you. I say, along with my career, I want to serve the humanity. Please give me this chance. Please afford me this opportunity that I am able to serve. I do not know the path forward. All I know is that God has assured me that He will take care of it. Do not give me the ownership of this land. Just give me an opportunity to use this land. Whatever conditions you want to put, kindly put." So eventually these three people asked me to wait outside, and then they conditionally approved this gift. What I want to tell you, that the person whom we see as non-believer, actually he is not the non-believer, we are the non-believers. If we believe that the cosmos is the same, the energy is the same, God is one. Whether we see one form or the other, but he may be seeing another form. If we have this belief and if we have this thought in our mind that there are no non-believers, of course, many people, when we take Bhagwan's name, they are not going to relish. They are not going to like this idea. But the moment we say we are doing a Seva work dedicated to humanity, I think things will fall in their place. I'll narrate one more incident. Initially I undertook a job in a management sector. I had just passed out my MBA and went for an interview. I saw so many candidates with a lot of experience. I was a fresh, raw hand. And in the interview, I narrated how Sai University schedule is there, and how whole day we carry out Bhagwan's work in Seva, in hostels, we clean floors, the self-reliance program of the hostel, the village work, and other activities. I gave them the entire idea. So after 40 minutes of interview, the MD of the organization told me, he said, "Brother, I really liked what you told me, but for our business, I think an MBA from Sai University is not suitable to us. Somewhere in the line in business, we have to make compromises. So we think that we will hire someone else, not a graduate from Sai University. Maybe you are suitable for monasteries, forests, and trusts, but not for corporate sector." So as he finished, and those 2-3 gentlemen in the interview, they were trying to finalize things, I again started praying to Swami that, "Bhagwan, please give me the strength." And at that time I asked him, "Sir, can I ask you something? Suppose you are the manufacturer of a tire. You have to test your product. Where will you test your product? On a smooth road or a road which is full of bumps and jumps and all kind of obstacles?" He said, "Yes, of course. We'll test our tire on a road which is full of obstacles." I said, "Sir, then we are Baba's tires. We are not meant for smooth roads of monasteries and forests. We are meant for corporate sector." And later on, I got the job. I worked in the management sector for some time. So what I say is, I am seeing another question also on surrender. See, surrender is the belief that God is with us. If we have this belief that God is with us and whatever we do, He is going to take over, I think we do not need any other proof. We do not need any other, I would say, attachment with us. We need only one thought, that He is there, He is going to take care. I hope I have been able to convey to you. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, there's one more question from Sister Archana. Sai Ram, brother, how can we develop total surrender to Bhagwan?
Well, I think the total surrender is this. I narrated to you this doctor couple's incident. Perhaps that is one yardstick which I have kept in my mind always, that when we leave everything on Bhagwan, we rely on Him, because He has given us the assurance that He'll take care. Once we know that His assurance is with us, He is going to take care. And with that thought we go. Because what happens is that in our day-to-day activities also, we sometimes try to differentiate. I'm sure all of us who would have gone to Bangalore and would have seen that beautiful administrative block building, the government building, Vidhan Sabha building. I think outside it is written, "Government work is God's work." So every work which we undertake is God's work. So let us not try to compartmentalize our life, whether it is our family, whether it is our profession, business. whether it is the Seva activity, everything is Bhagwan's work. Everything which we do is Bhagwan only. I think then we will be able to do with complete surrender. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, I have a question. I would like to know, see, of course, when you are a student or when you are perhaps in that formative years, there was that zest of going and doing something you wanted to. I would say all those talk by Swami, the information on the importance of Grama Seva motivated you to do this, that, and then you started about with surrender and you built it up. Today, if you were to look at how can I be further of Seva, how can I, you see, it's all about all of us start doing it. It's what I'm trying to say is, for us, sometimes even the 9-point of code of conduct is like tick box. I tick, 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 tick. I've done Seva this month. I've done Narayana Seva. I've done this. But then it's a process where I remember our conversation where you said it's about being available, right? What is it that inspires you, or what is it that makes you want to do more? Is it something that he comes and tells you as an opportunity, or you are aware by being in the present to see of ways to be of service? What is it that drives you?
So, Sai Ram, brother, I think this is something which is the belief. I'll tell you, after we finished the COVID hospital, because presently it is on the standby mode, we thought of working for some widows and orphans who had been inundated due to COVID. We started working for them. Suddenly a thought came to me after seeing all the misery, after seeing all the suffering, that why should we not establish a super specialty hospital in North India? We have beautiful super specialty hospitals in South. So why should we not have a hospital of Bhagwan in North? Now, for last few days, Bhagwan is making me, undergo all this. So I'm praying for last few days. Yesterday night at 12 in the night, I thought that let me go and work on my table. So I picked up my mobile, walked out from the bedroom, walked towards my study, and suddenly I saw a message. I'll not name the brother from US. He sent me a message that, brother, can we talk for some time? So I messaged him back. I said, yes, brother, I am available. We can talk. And then that brother, Sai brother, calls me, an alumnus from US. He said, brother, there is another gentleman with me on the call. We want to speak to you. We are exploring the setting up of a hospital in Chandigarh. So we thought that we'll discuss with you. And the conversation went on and on and on for about good 40 minutes. This happened yesterday night. I mean. So what I'm telling you, that let us think big. That perfect line which comes to my mind is, Ye dil mange more. Let us keep asking God for more and more seva, more and more work. He'll give us more and more. He'll implement more and more. He'll do more and more. Let us not stop. Let us not look back. Whatever comes our way, please think that God is doing and He's going to do. And with that belief, if we are doing, I'm sure there'll be no limit in our mind. There'll be no restriction in our mind. There'll be no barrier in our mind.
Wonderful, wonderful. So true. Yet again, I think it's all narrowing down to being available. I guess that's the biggest thing of being there, to wanting. Ye dil mange more is a fantastic tagline, to have that wishful feeling always in our lives, to be there, to be, and I wouldn't even use the word instrument, to be there for our own selfish reasons of getting that ananda of seva, or getting that every day. Wonderful. Anyone else with questions? Please feel free. Anyone else? Brother, wait, let me see. I didn't see anything on the chat. Did I miss anything out? No, I have not got any questions over here. Why don't you share a couple more of...
Yes, sure. So, when you asked me this question, I was remembering one or two incidents.
Brother Amar, somebody wants to ask a question. Hold on, let's...
Yes.
Please.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, yeah, very, very nice talk. In fact, just like to ask you, does the name Sai have to be there? Does the name Sai have to be there?
Sorry.
The divine, does the name Sai have to be there? The divine...
Well, name Sai is to be there in my heart. See, I believe this. Of course, somehow, since I'll narrate this how it happened. That in 1989, in 1988, when I had passed out, I drew a project report titled Jagriti, took it to Bhagwan, presented it to him. Bhagwan picked the pen and wrote word Sri Sathya Sai on that. Ever since then, all our activities have the word Sri Sathya Sai. Whether it is hospital or it is school or it is the COVID hospital or any other activity, we have put the name Sri Sathya Sai because Bhagwan himself put word Sri Sathya Sai, so we are putting everywhere Sri Sathya Sai. But let me tell you, there are two aspects of it. Aspect number one, when we are undertaking, we undertake with Sai. But if, like recently I came across some youth in Rajasthan, they were from northeast of India, they had lost their jobs. So they needed food packets. They were all Christians. So we spoke to them and we dispatched those food packets. At that time, we did not use word Sai, thinking that let us not say we are sending you the prasadam from Bhagwan. So as far as our activity is concerned, I believe that Sai name has to be there because he is going to do it. And that adds solemnness to it, that adds purity to it, that adds surrender to it. But as far as the beneficiaries are concerned, like in COVID hospital, we had put Bhagwan's picture, beautiful picture of Bhagwan. And also we had put a basket with vibhuti packets. But in the video cameras, we saw people actually doing evening aarti, people picking up vibhuti. So I think the relationship which Bhagwan wants to develop, he will automatically develop. But let us not feel shy. Let us take his name. Because I remember that incident when Ramakrishna Paramahansa was traveling in a boat and there was a disciple of him. In fact, there were two such disciples. So there was a man who was all the time criticizing Ramakrishna, and the disciple remained silent and meek. And the same thing happened when Vivekananda was traveling in a boat and somebody was speaking ill of Ramakrishna and Vivekananda gave him a beating. And when both of them returned, so Ramakrishna told this man who was silent, who was meek, that why didn't you speak up? Don't you believe that Ramakrishna is God? You should have given back to him that Ramakrishna is God, I believe he is God. And then he told the other thing to Vivekananda, conversely opposite. He says, Vivekananda, you are calm, you are quiet. Why you became so aggressive? Why you gave him beating? So then everybody was confused. He said, Baba, what are you doing? You are telling two different things. He says, see, don't go against the nature. you have to be calm. You don't have to be an aggressor. But at the same time, don't accept that somebody is denigrating your guru and you are silent. So I think this example fits in that we believe that Baba is doing it. We believe Sai is doing it. So I am surrendering and using Bhagwan's name because I know Bhagwan is doing it. I have no fear. I have no shame. In fact, I tell you something very beautiful. I always go to High Court or Supreme Court wearing vibhuti on my forehead. And people have started calling me Bindi Wala Vakil. You know, North Tilak is known as Bindi. So Bindi Wala Vakil. Even many judges call me Bindi Wala Vakil. Once I went to Puttaparthi, so Bhagwan called me and said, "Oh, Bindi Wala, come here." And so many people started laughing. So Bhagwan told, when you wear my vibhuti and walk, you are carrying me all the time. When you are carrying me all the time, you are conscious of the fact how you have to behave, how you have to conduct. So we are carrying Bhagwan all the time with us. Once we are carrying Bhagwan and Bhagwan's name, why should we feel? But yes, let us not project it that way, that, you know, we are trying to over project his name among its beneficiaries. So we know where to draw the line, and that is left to us. Given to me, I will use Bhagwan's name everywhere. Sai.
Absolutely. Wonderful answer. Wonderful answer. I think from our side, it's always Sai who's the doer. So why not? The recipient, we have to make him comfortable to receive it. So we got to be mindful about that. Very beautifully put, something that's very close to my thoughts as well on this point that comes quite often when we are doing what I call neutral seva or a disaster seva, you know, like where we come across that. Very beautiful question. Lovely answer. Come up with those questions, please. Always the questions bring interesting facets to it. So if we can hear anything more, that'll be nice as well. We still have at least another 10 minutes. So a couple of questions will be nice.
In fact, I'll narrate something, brother, that when we were in hostel, you know, once Bhagwan got very upset with us, we didn't score that much in our annual examination. So he stopped speaking to us. And it was very torturous when Bhagwan was not talking. So at that time, some elderly gentleman, he gifted me Sai Satcharitra. You referred that today in the commencement of this session. So he told me that read this Sai Satcharitra for 7 days and Bhagwan will bless you. So luckily that time holidays were there, and for 7 days I continued to read Sai Satcharitra. By chance, colleges were reopening on Thursday, and I was to finish the Parayanam on Thursday. So what I did, I finished it on Wednesday and left the last chapter, which I read on Thursday morning before going to college. As I was going to the college, I was going with the thought that if I would be at any place outside Prashanti Nilayam, I would have distributed prasadam. But how will I distribute prasadam here in Prashanti Nilayam? As a mark of Parayanam, you know, I have to distribute prasadam. So then an idea came. I said, okay, today lunchtime, paisam would be served in the hostel dining hall. So what I will do is I'll rush to the hostel dining hall at the lunch hour. I'll catch hold of the paisam tub and I'll start distributing paisam as prasad. That was my plan. So lunchtime I rushed in, reached the dining hall, and as I was entering, our class, our teacher in charge, Kote sir, Lakshmi Narayan Kote sir was there. So he was standing there. He called me. He says, Amar, are you free for some time? So now I thought that my plan is going to be disturbed. Sir is going to assign me some work and I'll not be able to distribute prasad. So there was little hesitation. So he said, okay, it's okay, Amar. If you're busy, I'll give this work to someone else. Then I said, no, sir, I'm free. I have come here. Please tell me. Whatever little I'm here. So he took me inside. He says, Bhagwan has sent these boxes of sweets. I was looking for some senior boy who can distribute. So please distribute these sweets. Well, he'll read anything and he'll fulfill. And of course, this thought is so sweet because when he is there to fulfill each and everything which we even think, which we even imagine in our wildest of imaginations, then why fear when Sai is here and he's always there for us? He's always there. So let's do this, anything with this thought that he's always there with us. So that's how I feel that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's such a it's how do I say? Malikana, is there a question that I should ask? No. Okay. All right. Okay. I saw some.
I said no question. It is just an view to say that an individual may possess very strong desire to serve, willingness to put efforts, may have all the education, may have the know-how, may have the relationship, may have the resources, yet only when blessed by Swami, an individual or a group of individuals will be able to do what Brother Amar has done. And
Only Bhagwan can do it.
It is not possible that you can plan and do it.
We cannot.
So it is something we are blessed to hear what you have done, brother, and that is, and definitely somewhere around the line it is possible that we are part of the journey to support the Seva, and we only can wish it happen. Great job.
Absolutely. That is the intent. To be honest with you, I do not know how it is for me. Every week with these satsangs, there's something that comes as a message, not just to tide over the week. Now, I think we are past that COVID concept of COVID ka kya hoga, how are we going to come out of it? Now is it what can we do? And then it has also brought us to realize that things are so fragile. There's no point in waiting for it tomorrow. Make it happen today. And that's something that I'm learning from Brother Amar every time I'm interacting with him. Whether it's like, Brother Amar, can you speak today? Huh? What time? Brother Amar, can we talk today? What time? So these are things. I think that is important. I think as a Sai devotee, it's not about just understanding the message. The simplest way where you need not put your head into thought is to get into action. And that is Seva. And it brings about an education which is totally what I call the practical way of evolving. And I just would like to sincerely request all those attending these satsangs, do come out. Each one of you have got a unique set, whether it is mentoring somebody, whether it's sharing your experiences, whether it is to have a conversation. I think that beautiful point of being available to be used as an instrument for whatever be that purpose. I think if all of us...
The other thing I want to share, brother, is even if you are not a Swami devotee, let's say, even if you are not a Swami devotee, nor what you have done in an area which I am aware, that whatever you person does in Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, it's not so very easy. Even without the name of the Sai or being an alumni, what you have done is, it's humanly visualize also is difficult. But with the name Sai and the blessing that you had, you probably had at every point of time somebody guiding you in order to reach this milestone, and your focus and belief that it can happen either through Sai and also through your efforts. That is what is really amazing, and I think it's
Now, one more interesting facet, Anna, that I want to add. Service is not a retirement option. Service is an active option where you don't have to wait to retire to start. That is something that we need to understand, because you can be professionally successful in what you have been trained to do and still do service. So it's not something that is a retirement option. I know I'm waiting for a time I will finish all my responsibilities. Fir ye karunga, wo karunga. I think whether you're going to be there to do it, God only knows. You have no idea. So that's about doing it today and being available. And that is something that I'm learning, talking to Brother Amar, that there is nothing called procrastination. When there is a sankalpa that is sown through the thought in your mind, that means it has to be done. How it will be?
And Bhagwan said, I need fresh fruits. Bhagwan said, I need fresh, fragrant fruits and flowers. I don't need stale ones.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So all of you, this is a wake-up call for us, and not that none of you are doing what Swami has said, but let's get into this, that kal ka kya hai, kal ho na ho, aaj kare, let us do it, dil mange more. Lot of movie names to end up beside Satsangh, but that is the earnest feeling of all of us listening to you today, and praying to Swami that he blesses you abundantly and you continue to inspire and make many of us have the opportunity to do our little bit in whatever that you embark on, and praying to Swami that he gives us more wonderful opportunities to listen, get inspired, and get into action. With that, praying to Swami to keeping every one of you safe in the week ahead, and looking forward to the next speaker, who I have no clue. He knows, you will know, and I get to know. With that, we shall finish off with Samasta Lokas. Sai Ram, everyone. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai. Sai Ram, everyone. Thank you, Brother Amar, once again. Sai Ram.